All right, so does it work? All right, so sorry, it's not about a fancy website or luxury brands. It's just about traditional retail. I'm going to talk about a company that is changing, revolutioning its business model. Maybe I should. All right. So it's changing its business model. Actually, Kingfisher wants to be the IKEA of the home improvement company, of the home improvement in the next 5-10 years. So I'm going to show you in the coming slide how that transformation is going to shake our sourcing organization to evolve our operating model. So just to start with Kingfisher, we are not a beer company or even an airline company. We're just a DIY, do-it-yourself company or home improvement, mainly focused on Europe, so main markets being France, UK, and Poland. We own a bit less than 1,150 stores across 9 different countries. It's a UK-listed company, a little bit less than 10.5 billion pound turnover. And you probably may know some of our retail brands like B&Q in UK, Castorama in France or Poland. So as I was saying, Kingfisher is changing its business model, its strategy. Why are we changing? Actually, in 2015, we changed CEO for 2 different reasons. First one was profit was going down. In the last 5 years, profit went down slightly but surely. And second point, we've been talking this morning, Internet is tackling our business quite drastically. So there were a clear question from our shareholders, where Kingfisher will be in the next 5 years. That's why we changed CEO. So what's this strategy about? Strategy is about, we have a clear ambition. We want to be a good home improvement company providing accessible products. So when we say this, actually sourcing has a clear accountability, especially when we talk about good products, we're talking about quality, and making those products accessible to everyone. We're talking about pricing. We have set up a couple of principles, but one of them being quite important for our sourcing organization will be how we're going to change the company is by creating a common and unique and effective offer. So we'll be leveraging our sourcing operation, working with best suppliers, providing the best products. So this will be our ideal world. So we're going to move from a fragmented and to a unified organization. So moving basically to 9 different operations to 1 operation. We're moving from 9 different ways of doing business to 1 unified way. I took 3 examples to illustrate how we're changing, how we're moving in terms of operation and organization. 2 years ago, we used to sell 400,000 different products across our different operating companies. Obviously, selling so many products, there's a lack of clarity in our offer. There's no time to do real product development, and there's clearly a lack of focus. So basically, what we're doing, we're rationalizing, reducing the number of product, of SKU, and we're creating a unique and single offer available for all our operating companies. Just to give you an idea, last year, so in 2016, 4% of our offer was common, similar to all our countries. This year, 2017, 20% of this offer, of our sales actually, will be with common products. And by 2021, 100%, almost 100% of this offer will be unified. Another fact is on the few categories that we have been unifying, so the 4%, which is around 20 categories, we reduce the number of product of SKU by 67%. So there's a quite drastic reduction in terms of SKU. It brings much lower level of complexity. The second example is actually the number of point of contact. As I was saying, we're moving from 9 different ways of buying, 9 different ways of operating, 9 different ways of contracting with supplier, to only one single way, one single organization buying product. Here, clearly, we're getting a better efficiency and better prices. Last example, which is a consequence of having much less product or less SKU, is we're reducing, or I should say we are rationalizing the number of suppliers. We're now dealing with much less supplier, concentrating our spend in a much more limited. Fewer suppliers, which is also impacted the way we're selecting those suppliers. But I will come back on this a little bit later. So moving from very fragmented organization, way of doing business, to a much unified organization. What does it mean in terms of sourcing? We have started sourcing our offer in a very different way. Sourcing is not anymore an organization trying to sell products to its internal clients. We are now much more focused on production and cost, which is our core business. So leveraging our buying scale, where in Kingfisher we're buying more or less 7 billion pounds of goods, creating new sourcing capabilities. I will talk mainly about 4 key areas. The first one being what we call CPR, cost price reduction. Remember, I told you early on in our strategy, we want a product affordable. So it's all about price. It's all about mass market. And we have, again, a key accountability on this. There's some obvious effects in this strategy. Less product to source, more volume per SKU, drives bigger bargaining power. We also have a tender process with a competition among a network of sourcing offices that actually ensure that we can find or we have the best price on earth. And then last point is about new supplier structure. I was saying earlier on, we now look for local suppliers or factories, when before we aim to look for intermediaries, traders, developers. So it also impacts our supplier portfolio. But using our volume actually is not really enough to drive a real cost price reduction. It doesn't create any uniqueness or any entry barriers in this model. So we have what we call internally a kind of a strategic sourcing approach. So what is a strategic sourcing approach? Instead of looking at categories, in our business we have many different categories, we look at segment. So what is segment? A segment actually is all the volume that you can bundle together in order to pump up the volume. This is what is a segment. So it can be a component, it can be a raw material, or even a category approach. So here on the slide, there's an illustration from, it's an example from IKEA. When they started to source or to sell beds, actually they didn't start to look after bed suppliers. Because bed suppliers, actually, they know each other. They sometimes share the price together. They play golf together. So if you want to disrupt the market, you probably have to look at alternative suppliers. So what IKEA did is actually to look at the manufacturing process. What is the manufacturing process for making beds? It's about tubing, it's about welding. So they look at other industry doing a bit, having the same production process. And this is where they end up with working with bicycle factories to make their beds. Because again, bicycle suppliers, they know each other, they share price together, but they don't know anything about bed price. So this is how they got very, very competitive price and disrupt the bed market. Second area is about global sourcing, a truly worldwide sourcing network. So here, you can see in Kingfisher, we used to have 4 different big sourcing offices, mainly in Asia and Eastern Europe. And actually, we have expanded our network to make sure that we can be very close to the factory. So 100% of the group spend is now purchased, managed by this network of sourcing office. So we cover local, international, OEM, whatever is sold in our store is now managed by one of these office. And as I said, how we ensure the competitiveness is by international competition between the sourcing offices. This allows us also to have different strategies, sourcing strategy. We probably is more known in the textile industry, but we can develop some dual sourcing and playing between far sourcing and near sourcing. So this is the second area. Third area is production excellence. We talked a bit earlier about the quality of the products and customer, how fast now quality issues can be displayed on the internet. So production excellence is becoming a key matter, especially when now you supply the same products to all your different countries. So much more volume by products going to all your different operating companies. So the risks are much bigger. So we must ensure the quality, and not only the quality, but the availability of the products. So final random inspection is not enough anymore. So what do? We need to involve actually teams much upstream in the production process to ensure the quality of the products. So the objective, as I said, is how we generate cost savings by better productivity and production setup organization. So as you can see, quality job actually is changing quite drastically, at least for Kingfisher. Last point, last area, design to cost. So design to cost, here you can see in the illustration, you have 2 masks from Decathlon, which is a French sports retailer, mainly selling own-brand products. Here what you see is, on the left side of the picture, a very innovative products fitting customer needs, answering customer needs perfectly. But the real entry barrier is not only the design, because probably most of the retailers or most of the suppliers can probably design the same mask. The real entry barrier is actually the price. So how they reach such a competitive price for that item. And here is where we talk about design to cost, is how you bring at the product development stage all the capabilities to make sure that you design your product in the most efficient way to drive your costs down. So Mr. Ingvar Kamprad from IKEA used to say, the biggest secret is the advantage we have at the production stage. So what does it mean? It's designing a nice products, different products is not enough. You have to make it affordable to everyone if you want it for mass market. So it's really about designing, taking into account the cost effect of your choice in terms of manufacturing and material. So it looks quite easy. It looks quite easy, maybe a bit obvious, but actually it requires a quite high cost and production understanding. And not only, it requires also having your a quite coordinated work between your the different experts, designers, cost engineers, and suppliers. So actually, you're able, on behalf of your supplier, to even, once you can build this knowledge, this cost culture, you're able to build the cost on behalf of your supplier when you know perfectly your cost structure. Few takeaways for us. This is our journey. We are trying, or we are reinventing for Kingfisher our sourcing model to deliver value to the organization. So for us, 3 questions. So what your sourcing organization actually does to get the costs down? What do they do to improve actually customer benefits? A good design without a good cost is probably useless. So the best products actually are created by matching a good design with a good production and sourcing setup. And last but not least, a worldwide network, okay, that truly enable you to create and deliver value, developing factories all around the world. Thank you very much.